Okay. Sarah, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lee?
Here.
Commissioner Kelly?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson? Here. Commissioner DePillo?
Here.
Chairman Underka?
Here. Okay. At this time, we are going to reserve a moment for public comment for items not on the agenda. This would be for anyone in the public who would like to speak regarding items not on the agenda. 3 minutes. Anyone on Zoom? Okay, moving on. Adoption of the agenda.
Motion to adopt.
A second.
Sarah, please call the roll.
Commissioner DePillo?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Underka?
Yes. Agenda is adopted. Public comment for items on the consent agenda. Anyone here in the public? Consent agenda? Okay, so there's, if you'd like to, anyone in the audience would like to follow along, there's an agenda at the front of the office there.
Tell them what the 2 items are.
There are 2 items on the consent agenda, the Planning Commission minutes from the last meeting and the planning project status report from the last meeting. Anyone on Zoom?
No one with a comment.
Okay. Do we have a motion to,
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Sarah, please call the roll.
I'm sorry, who first and who seconded?
Wilson, then Nate.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Commissioner DePillo?
Aye.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Chairman Underka?
Yes. Okay, we're going to move to the public hearing portion of the meeting tonight. Item number 3, Caminera Estates, 24-lot subdivision. Christie's going to start us off, and then I believe the applicant's here. We may hear from him.
So I have a little PowerPoint presentation, and then we will have the applicant give their presentation. And we can start that, Sarah, to the next slide.
Is that TV not working?
Richard, can you push the TV, the remote right there?
No, you turn that one off.
That's interesting. Go to HDMI too. Or go down this. There you go. Yep.
For everyone
There we
in the
are.
audience, there is an agenda, there is a packet online if you'd like to follow, just by going through the Town of Loomis website in the planning section of the website.
So tonight before you is the Carmenere 24-lot subdivision. It's a vesting tentative map, so you'll be making a recommendation, and this would go before the town council. Application number 2401 for a vesting tentative subdivision map is a project for a 24-lot subdivision on 98 acres along Delmar Avenue. So it's located on each side of Delmar Avenue, east of the railroad tracks, west of Bankhead Road, and south of Sierra College Boulevard. The eastern site is developed with a concrete building pad, a private roadway, and multiple fenced pastures for grazing cattle. And it contains oak woodlands along the Antelope Creek riparian corridor and additional trees throughout the site. The western site is also used for grazing and has open pastures. There's undeveloped land owned by the Loomis Union School District to the north of the parcel, or the project site, and there are residential parcels to the northeast across Sierra College Boulevard, as well as to the east and west. The Antelope Creek riparian corridor runs northwest-southwest along the eastern site's western boundary. And the Sucker Ravine Overflow Channel wetland flows north-south through the eastern portion of the eastern site. Surrounding existing land uses include single-family residences to the northeast, west, and northeast across Sierra College Boulevard, and residential ranch uses, light industrial uses, and the Rockland Public Works Department offices to the south. The properties are zoned residential agricultural and residential estates, so you see RA and RE, and the general plan designation is also residential agricultural and residential estates. So some of the project design features, the lot sizes range from 2.3 acres to 4.7 acres, with 6 lots at a minimum of 2.3 acres and 18 lots at a minimum of 4.6 acres to match the minimum lot requirements of the zones in which they are located. The project proposes a court on each side of Delmar Avenue, with A court on the west side and B court on the east side. There's a gated emergency vehicle access at the end of B court extending to Bankhead Road. There's also a pedestrian pathway proposed along the north side of B Court, extending to a Class 1 trail connecting to the Loomis Union School District site to the north. No sidewalks are proposed on either court. However, there is curb gutter and sidewalk proposed at the entryways with the intersection of Delmar Avenue, ending at the project frontage limits on Delmar, where those properties end. There are underground utilities, treated water, sewer, energy, communications, irrigation, and storm drains, with 5 separate storm drainage basins spread throughout the project site. To meet the inclusionary housing ordinance requirements to provide 10% affordable units, the project proposes to deed restrict 5 lots, requiring 3 of them to provide an ADU, affordable to very low-income households, and 2 lots to provide an ADU affordable to low-income households. The deed restriction would be for a 55-year period, and the ADUs would need to be built concurrently with the primary residence. Individual lot development will require HOA Design Review Committee approval and submittal of a site plan, architectural plans and elevations, colors and finishes, sections, grading plans, hardscape plans, landscape planting plans, and elevations, perspectives, and other documents as needed, depending on the lot. So there are 7 zones for each lot. Zone 1 is the building envelope zone. That's the area where structures can be developed, so the residence, garages, covered patios, arcades, lodges, courtyards, cabanas, ADUs, that sort of thing. The minimum home size is 4,000 square feet, and the maximum building envelope is 20,000 square feet. In Zone 2, this is the ornamental landscape zone, and that is an area of developed landscape and hardscape. It can include pools, spas, sport courts, uncovered patios, shrubs, trees, ground cover. Zone 3 is a transition landscape zone, and that's a 20-foot wide street side area between the ornamental landscaping zone and the development envelope boundary. There's a natural habitat zone, and that's a preserved area of natural habitat. That would be Antelope Creek, the riparian woodland areas, oak woodland areas, agricultural easement areas. The driveway zone is a 25-foot wide area accommodating a 12-foot wide driveway and driveway fire vehicle pullout. Utilities would be located within this area, and Zone 3 landscaping may be installed in this area as well. So it will be used for the vineyard access point for maintenance of the vineyard. There's also a fuel modification zone, so an area maintained for fuel reduction per the project conservation steward direction and South Placer Fire's requirements. And then the general development envelope is the area where structures and landscaping are allowed. So if you'll see on this next slide, you can see different areas. So here's the roadway is toward the left and top of the image. The building envelope is the large rectangle you'll see, and that's surrounded by the development zone where things like pools or patios can be located. There's the development setback area along the sides and rear of the property, the vineyard setback and the vineyard zone, so those are two separate zones, and you can see where the driveway would be located as well. The project is offering a number of residential styles, Early California Ranch, Provence, Tuscan Farmhouse, California Mission, Spanish Monterey, California Wine Country, Craftsman, California Villa, and Contemporary styles would all be permitted, but also reviewed by the HOA's Design Review Committee. For landscaping and irrigation, the concept focuses on the natural landscape and agriculture. So wetland, riparian woodland, and oak woodland are to be preserved, with a vineyard providing the agricultural landscape along the frontage of the individual lots. So as you were on Court A or Court B and driving through, your first view would be of various vineyard landscaping with homes behind that and oak woodland interspersed. The HOA would manage the common area landscaping and the vineyard greenway areas. An 8-foot deer fence is proposed around the exterior of the entire subdivision. Landscape zones include the vineyard zone, grassland zone, oak woodland zone, and wetland zones. The street landscape zone is a common landscape area at each entryway at Del Mar, so 50 feet from the edge of the pavement. And those areas include a stone wall and water drainage features as well. And the planting palette for that area focuses on simple native plantings to emphasize the existing natural landscape. The irrigated landscape must include a drainage plan, including how irrigation runoff will be diverted away from the vineyard and oak woodland areas to reduce potential for damage to those vineyards and oak trees. Common landscaping and vineyard greenway areas would be irrigated via PCWA canal water, which is operated by the HOA and feeds into a pond on the western site. That water would be distributed through a 3-inch irrigation line, and if needed, there is access to Antelope Creek and 6 miners inches that are secured through an existing easement under contract with a neighboring property on Del Mar. Of the 499 healthy protected oak trees on the property, 26 would be removed for infrastructure installation. So roads, any other utility lines, and pathways. So on the next slide, you'll see it's just an illustration of the different zones. So the development zone, the vineyard easement areas, oak woodlands, riparian woodlands, and wetlands. So under this project, those riparian woodland areas, wetlands, and oak woodlands would be retained in their natural state. The next slide just gives you an overview of what it looks generally like. This is there have been some improvements on some of the neighboring properties since this image was taken, but it gives you a general sense of the undeveloped nature of the property currently. The next slide is, we're just going to go through the tentative map slides. So you have these in your packet as well. So this is just an overview of what that subdivision would look like. You have 2 streets extending off of Del Mar in each direction, and the emergency vehicle access, which would be gated, but connecting to Bankhead Road for emergency vehicles to come in if there were a fire or other hazard event. The next slide is just a close-up on that western side of the property. So you'll see each of the lots are depicted on there, and then there is an easement for utility lines running down straight south from the end of the court. On the next slide, it's the eastern side showing the different lot sizes. You'll see the smaller lot sizes are to the right-hand side, and that's where the zoning change occurs on that property. And again, this is the utility plan on the west, and then the utility plan on the east. And let's go to the next slide. This is a close-up of the roadway system. So you'll see the improvements along Del Mar, which just are to the limit of these properties. There are no improvements further along on Del Mar except where the utilities might be coming in and the road needing to be repaired at that point for any encroachment occurring on it. You'll see that the project proposes a pathway, but not sidewalks along each of the courtyards. And then the next slide is just looking at tree removal. So you'll see there's a couple of trees in the middle of the road there, and at the end of the road and vineyard area. And then on the other side, the same. But many trees are retained, especially along the Antelope Creek waterway. So a CEQA initial study and mitigated negative declaration was prepared for this project, including a mitigation monitoring and reporting program. The ISMND identified potential adverse environmental impacts to biological resources, hydrology and water quality, noise, cultural resources, hazards and hazardous materials, and tribal cultural resources. The document was circulated for 30 days, beginning July 18th, 2025, and ending on August 18th, 2025. 7 total comment letters were received. They were received from Placer County Environmental Health, the California Department of Transportation, California Department of Conservation, the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board, Placer County Flood Control and Water Conservation District, South Placer Municipal Utility District, and 1 Loomis resident. The comments from public agencies included topics such as environmental health, so hazards, soil contamination, public utility connections. Other comments were in regard to VMT calculations, the conversion of agricultural land, requirements for stormwater treatment, floodplain mapping and standards for provision of proper sanitary sewer connections, and then also resident concerns and desire for on-site and off-site infrastructure improvements to address service issues generally within town and in the vicinity of the project. Responses were prepared and a minor adjustment to the ISMND was made. It didn't affect the analysis or conclusions, but it was a clarification in the text. So the mitigation monitoring and reporting program includes mitigation measures that reduce potential impacts to a less than significant level. There are no outstanding significant impacts. So most of the mitigation measures are related to biological resources, and they include surveys for special status plant species, monarch butterfly, western spadefoot toad, northwestern pond turtle, nesting songbirds, raptors, and other nesting species, burrowing owl surveys, Swainson's hawk surveys, and roosting bat and American badger surveys. These also include wetland delineation determination and permitting with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Section 401 certification and discharge report for construction of the property and in relation to the wetland features, Section 1600 lake and streambed alteration agreement, oak woodland management plan and tree removal permit and mitigation plan, cultural resource and tribal cultural resource protections and human remains identification protocol, asbestos and lead surveying, soil testing for organochloride pesticides, well abandonment permits, a stormwater pollution prevention plan, and best management practices. Notice on the emergency vehicle access, base flood elevation, hydraulic analysis, grading permit and construction noise requirements, compaction activity requirements, and that's the extent of the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, which you have in your staff report as well. So community benefits, the project would provide new housing options in Loomis, including some affordable units, Size consistent with the minimum requirements for the residential, agricultural, and residential estate zones. It maintains an agricultural use and atmosphere and provides protection of riparian habitat along Antelope Creek through agricultural and non-development easements. Provides a pedestrian access from Delmar Avenue to the proposed Loomis Union School District site and those facilities at Sierra College Boulevard. And it improves public water, sewer, and energy infrastructure in the area. Following release of the staff report, the Placer County Flood Protection had some additional conditions of approval they wanted to add. So these are 5 conditions that they would like to add to our list of conditions of approval. And I'll just read them. The owner applicant shall submit the electronic HEC, HMS, and HEC RAS modeling files to Placer County Flood Control and Water Conservation District for review. The owner applicant shall confirm the values for the basin acreage listed in the drainage report. The owner applicant shall include a peak flow summary table with the drainage report. The owner applicant shall confirm the values shown in Table 1, as there are multiple end values, lengths, slopes, and peak flows. And the owner shall update the line type color that depicts the Antelope Creek 100-year floodplain limits on the tentative map sheets to differentiate between the contours on the mapping. So those are some recommendations to add to the list that are not currently shown on your staff report.
Are they on the, they're not on the conditions of approval,
They're not on there right
Okay.
now.
but these are recommendations?
These are the recommended additions to the list of conditions from the Placer County Flood Control District.
Okay.
So with that, Richard, did you have any comments you wanted to?
Yeah, I'm here to discuss about, from an engineering perspective, we require for our land development manual that private streets should have sidewalks. And there's multiple occurrences throughout town where we use an ADA compliant path with DG, and it's really hard to maintain the ADA compliance and maintain these pathways for a long term. We've had to go out and repair them every 3 to 4 years, so it's in the best interest of the HOA to have somewhat of a surface that will endure the test of time, and that's ADA compliant. So.
Okay. And what is proposed, right, Christie, right now? In the
Right.
conditions of approval?
The conditions don't include sidewalk right now, so
Okay.
that's up for your discussion if you would like to include that. That's, for you to discuss. There are curb and gutter and sidewalk improvements at the entry points, so where the tapers are coming off of Delmar. There are sidewalk there, but it doesn't extend throughout the development. On the east side, there is a separated trail, pedestrian trail, but no sidewalk. It is a trail.
What's the surface of the trail
So-
composed of?
I believe that would be DG, decomposed granite.
So this would be similar to what is at Montserrat?
Yes.
Okay, so the walking, the surfaces that are in front of the houses would look similar more or less to Montserrat?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And they would need to be ADA compliant as a Class 1 trail.
Okay, well, let's ask when the applicant comes, let's ask the applicant to address that.
So we will give us 1 minute to try to pull this up, and then we'll have the applicant come up and give their presentation.
Okay.
We used to not require that in rural areas. I'll ask.
On the frontage, it would street frontage. Why don't we come back to that unless, and let the applicant come in and make their presentation? Would that,
Is that part of their presentation?
this is their presentation.
Oh. Can I ask
Can't access the memory stick.
Richard?
Okay. Let's do this.
Can I ask a question of Richard while
Yeah,
we're relevant to this?
yes. All right, so Sarah, why don't you stay on that? Christy, we're going to do some questions from
Yeah.
commissioners at this point.
Okay.
And then hopefully we can all connect back after questions are done.
Perfect.
Let's start.
I have a.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Gene.
Richard's occupied at the moment, but my question is of Richard, do we no longer have differing road standards for the different parts of town like we have in the past? Even, 3 years ago when we did a 4-lot split on Barton Road, there were none of these things were required. There were different standards, not making it like in town.
Are we talking about sidewalks or?
Right.
Yeah, from my understanding, the land development manual's been around for those developments and have required sidewalks for the streets. So-
So we no longer have different road standards for the different parts of town like that? We used to have them, they were different and did not require those kind of things.
I think the one we have is from 2009, so anything prior, I can't attest to, so.
Because we didn't require it for Poppy Ridge, Montserrat, St. Francis Woods, Montclair, any of those, the lot split that we did like 3 years ago for the Enrights, they weren't required to do all that kind of stuff.
I mean, it makes sense in a more densely populated, project, but, when something's spread out, and then also you have to take into account the nature of, these are more semi-rural lots, right? And curbs and gutters are something I would kind of associate with, smaller lots. And so I'm following you.
More compact
Yeah.
subdivision.
But there still be gutters, but it's just the streets that, but there are walkable paths and like.
Well, I think too, if you go out the driveways and just go along the street, you could get to your neighbor that way, and that's a solid surface. But if you start building sidewalks and stuff, you've got the runoff from that, and to have the vineyard and everything, the way it's set up, it should be more of a natural look. And so you're just adding to more of suburban look rather than a natural look out there with all those big lots and things, so, I don't know.
Okay.
For the,
Is that,
Can
go ahead.
so my understanding is the walkable pathway is only on the east side, it's not on the west side?
It's on the east side.
Okay. And you mentioned that it's expensive to maintain. Would it be Loomis that would maintain it, or would it be the HOA?
It would be the HOA,
Okay.
so.
Okay, so that was great. And then when we're looking at ADA compliance, I didn't see a lot of discussion on that in the report.
Yeah.
Are there any concerns around ADA compliance?
It's one of the conditions that the pathway needs to be ADA compliant.
Which condition, Christie? Show us.
There's like 100 conditions.
There's 108.
Which one is it?
It is number 23 on page 52. Design and construct all new pedestrian ways and trails to meet current Americans with Disabilities Act accessibility guidelines, California Title 24 requirements, and town maximum cross slopes and grades.
Okay.
Page
All right, thank you for that.
52.
Speaking of maintenance, there is a maintenance district proposed for this,
There would be an HOA proposed
an HOA.
to maintain the properties.
And the streets,
HOA.
HOA. But these are not city streets,
They would be private.
they would be private streets. Okay.
Oh,
And then the street lights, HOA,
Yes.
okay.
Is there anything the town would be responsible for?
but they have to have access to it,
Outside of that, even
Yeah.
safety access?
Public access.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
frontage.
Del Mar.
Yeah.
Yeah, the frontage.
Okay.
the streets are public access.
Our
but
public
privately-
roads, yeah,
Public roads, but
Maintained.
privately maintained.
correct.
Okay. Got it. All right. Are we ready for the applicant?
Yes.
Applicant?
Good evening. My name is Mike Fournier. I'm the owner applicant in this case, and I must tell you that Christy did an absolute fantastic job. I should have seen your presentation before putting ours together. I would have saved everybody a lot of time. So I'll try to be relatively quick, but I'll try to make some points that might differ a little bit on what has been presented so far. So Carmenere subdivision, we look at this as a general plan compliant proposal. I think people were very clear what they wanted, and this is what we've targeted from the start. This gives you an idea. The previous slide gave you an idea of the size of the development, and of course that explains why when you look at your map, most of the time you can't read the fine print because it's a large site. So it'd be nice if we had E-size drawings to be able to present it to you, but of course the package has to be a lot smaller. When we go to the next slide, we can see that we have, of course, what we call Carmenere West, which is, of course, west side of Del Mar, Carmenere East, which is on the right side. We had a really open land focus, and we believe we have a creative, compliant, low-income housing solution. Ultimately, this is designed to maintain a rural, farm-like approach to the development. Those are obviously going to be nice lots. They're a good size, but we have put a lot of emphasis creating what we called our vineyards to be farmable with a variety that actually sells, that is popular. We're having great success with it, and ultimately compliant with the general plan.
Mike, the farming component being grape harvesting, is that?
Yes,
Is that
and
the
I will
vision?
put a little bit more emphasis in the next few slides.
Okay.
Ultimately, access occurs from King Road, going south on Del Mar, or very likely through Rockland, following Taylor Road, going north on Del Mar. I want to make sure everybody understands there is no access anticipated off of Bankhead except for emergency vehicles. At Bankhead, we're planning to have gates both on the Bankhead side and on the subdivision side, making sure that we do not have a dead zone that people start putting garbage in. Ultimately, it's the same map that Christie presented. Next. The utilities, it was quite a bit of work, especially with PCWA, where we will, great benefit for the community, we will link the northern trunk, which is medium pressure, with the southern trunk, which comes from Rockland, have a pressure reducing station, we'll donate the land. Part of the development, we will put it in and get a fee credit for a hookup fee from PCWA in the process of installing that pressure reducing station. Furthermore, by taking the line north with the sewers on the Court B, we will eventually, working with the school, reach Sierra College with both water and sewer to be able to serve a portion that is already taxed. The sewer line on Bankhead is already heavily taxed, so this will provide a very, very good 15-inch sewer line for the future. Drainage, we had a lot of discussions with engineering regarding the drainage. We have worked really, really hard to maintain natural flows. Of course, we have Antelope Creek that goes by, so a lot of the water will go that way. But special care will be taken that any new impervious surface that creates less absorption in the ground, the water will be accumulated in those basins. The water will be let out at a very slow flow to prevent any enhanced flooding downstream, and also those settling basin will ensure the quality of the water. Typical lot layout, and that's pretty important because we've discussed the vineyard, which can alternatively be a green belt, but our plan A is for it to be a vineyard. It's really important to note that you have basically, in this case, the road, you have a right-of-way basically, then you have off the road, you have the trail, which I must tell you, my belief is that trail was going to be paved. I'm probably tipping my cards here, but I'm not sure how you do an ADA compliant trail out of DG, and it's still ADA compliant after a couple rainstorms. So the bottom line is the plan for us was to pave it. The trail consistency is designed currently as 12 feet wide with 2 feet shoulder on both sides with an 8-foot paved center portion. So that was our anticipation. While it's not clearly stated, this is the way that we would anticipate developing the trail, which I will put a little bit more emphasis. I feel that having the trail with all the driveways that cut in strategically to not inhibit the vineyard operation are just as good as a sidewalk. I mean, if I had a choice, I'd pick that trail any day with the vineyard and all the beautiful oaks as a walking path. On the other side, on the Court A, we only have 8 residences. It's a beautiful area. I know when I was a kid, I grew up and I played hockey in the street, and I'm really hoping that the kids and the families that are there, when you have only 2 or 3 families, but you get to the end of a court, I don't see a need for a sidewalk. I see a place that children can play and people can go do their activities. I mean, that's what the rural character is about. So back to the typical lot layout, we have an 80-foot vineyard, and then we have what we call the vineyard setback. Why is there a vineyard setback? The reason there's a vineyard setback is because there are some other subdivisions that have vineyards currently, and we know about it because we manage them. We get grapes out of them, and we manage the vineyard for them. And then you will end up with an homeowner that decides to plant roses in a series of plants that need a huge amount of water right by the vines, and we spend 4 to 5 times more time maintaining those vines, spraying to prevent fungus, to prevent all kinds of diseases on the vines, because there's an homeowner that is right next to it, making sure he's poisoning them. So to make a long story short, we've created in this development the idea of a vineyard setback where the HOA has the ability to regulate what people do. It's not that they can't plant, it's not that they can't go there, but we want to make sure there's an understanding when somebody buys the lot that they shouldn't do something that's going to impede the health of the vines. The next thing that's also interesting there is the way we've created this perimeter. Our setbacks on the side are larger than the current town setback. Now, you will see on the last slide, we're asking for slight modifications to what has been proposed. We've discussed it with planning. We made a little mistake. In all our design guidelines, we drew our lots with a 30-foot setback, while the town is 25. And in our design guideline text, we set a 50-foot setback both front and back. And it's actually a problem for us when we get to the smaller 2.3 acre lot to go so much more. We're going to maintain the extra setback above and beyond what the town requires. We will maintain the front, but we are asking to go to 30 feet, which is still more than what the town requests. But we would like to not go to 50 feet in the back. So there's a slide addressing that, and we hope that you will approve that modification. Next slide. We named it after the Carmenere grape variety, and the reality is it ensures a level of uniformity. You know, the reality is, and I won't get philosophical with you, I mean, I've had a lot of discussions about, you know, how big lots should be or shouldn't be. The reality is 4.6 acres is a large lot. And I think most people, once they realize how much work 4.6 acres are, they're happy when they find out that part of it's going to be maintained by the HOA. This also provides a very nice uniformity. Vineyards are absolutely gorgeous. The Carmenere variety looks very much like Cabernet Sauvignon. It's a nice looking, organized plant. So we believe that this will look very nice. Now, Carmenere is an original Bordeaux variety grape. It's not very well known. It has a very, very different taste. And it was lost until they rediscovered it in Chile because they had imported it from France through DNA testing. And that's where we discovered it. And what's fantastic is they can't grow it in Napa because as an herbaceous state, it's just ideally suited for this area. And I'm going to tell you that there's other grapes that are ideally suited, like Syrah, but it doesn't sell. And we can sell Carmenere. We've been running out of it in our tasting room at this, and people are just buying it, and the people are really enjoying it. So we feel that it's exciting to be able to grow something here that is popular and that we're getting demand for. You've read all the variety. The bottom line is we believe in people having freedom in deciding what they're going to build within certain limits, and we want to give them that. Our lots are large. There's a lot of space between the different residences, and we want people to have freedom to build what they want. Now, that having been said, the HOA will maintain a certain level of consistency, and like I said, note the distance between the residences, the way we've created those pads where they have to be. Ultimately, I've said it already, Christy has said it, entry, Del Mar, no other way of circulation except for the footpath that goes out at the school district, and the EVA is strictly for emergency vehicles. A lot of beautiful oaks, and I can tell you we've walked this site over and over, taking pictures, moving the road to the left, moving the road to the right, making sure that the way the curves are, we were able to avoid as many beautiful trees as possible. Ultimately, this preserves a rural atmosphere, and it allows to create a little bit of housing, and we don't think it's a huge impact on the community. If anything, it's a positive impact. The low-income housing solution is something that is kind of dear to my heart because I believe that this is one of the toughest social situations that we have currently. And the solution that we came up with, working with planning and the team here at the town, for me, is a good solution. And the reason it's a good solution is because it's something that's going to get built. Something that's going to provide from an elderly person, a young person, a family friend, a caretaker. They're going to end up in those ADUs. They're going to be able to afford living in this beautiful area. And it's something that's going to be built at the same time as the main residence. What we're going to do is we want to take 5 of the best lots and basically tell them you're going to have an ADU. And the reality is when you have a large lot like that, that's something extremely common for people to have a house, a guest house, an ADU. And the reality is we want to make sure we take advantage of that, and we feel that it's an elegant way of answering the demand for low-income housing. Ultimately, this slide addresses that we would like one term in our design guidelines, which we are asking you to approve today, to be changed from 50 feet on the rear setback to 30 feet, which is still more than what Loomis normally demands. And those increased setbacks that we've set here are to really enhance the character of this subdivision. So ultimately, we humbly ask that you approve this project and send it to the town council with a positive planning recommendation. Thank you. Any questions, or I'm not sure how?
Thank you, Mike. Let's start down here.
Before we start, some of us need to make a disclosure that we have met with the applicant and developer for information and opportunity to ask a number of questions. So I'm disclosing that.
Just raise your hand if we met.
Disclose. Here we go.
Okay.
Okay, anything?
Some of the questions have already been kind of asked. I mean, the sidewalk question, I'm not sure if we have a ordinance or law that says we have to do it, but we didn't do it. I don't know where that balance is. Is there a way to do maybe a sidewalk on one side instead of both sides? But I think we have to discuss if we're supposed to be doing it, but we haven't been doing it. Is that fair to even enforce something like that? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, but I think that probably needs more discussion. Some of the questions, Mike, you've already answered for me that I have down here, so I'll defer. I know Janine's got a lot of questions.
Not as many as usual. You got a lot of things answered at meeting.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
One that I just noticed tonight, it was on construction, and if they cut any lines and it mentioned telephone, are you, given that AT&T is not focusing on phone lines anymore, are you putting in phone lines? Or you don't know yet?
The answer is, this is an interesting question because I was always under the impression that AT&T had the lines on until I did my project in Penryn, and I realized that whoever owns the land actually owns the line. So what we want to do is we want to put pipes in that are designed with the necessary radius to support fiber optics.
Okay.
And the idea is we're going to go to the different people, and what we realize with the other projects we've done is if you go to a town and you say, hey, you want to use my pipes? They'll come in. And then you go to AT&T and you say, do you want to use my pipes? They'll come in, and what they'll do is they'll create competition and they'll create availability for the different user. So we're putting in the pipes,
Okay.
and we're going to let them compete with each other to get everybody's business. And we're going to do that so we can take it to the school. We're going to do that so we can take it across town. And we're going to do it so basically people benefit from the opening the competition there. So we're not going to tell them, you got to go with this guy. We're not going to say, hey, give me $10 and if I sign up Linda to the Verizon network. But seriously, the idea is we're putting in the pipes.
Okay. And somebody else is putting in the fiber optics. You're just putting in the tubes for them to pull the fiber.
Well, that's it. And what we found is that the fiber optic people as town, even AT&T with fiber optic or the different providers, they'll put it in if they know there's customers at the end.
Okay.
Because it's easy to pull the fiber. What's hard is getting the pipe in the ground.
I had a couple of questions, not too many as usual, the usual amount. And these are specific things on design guidelines. And I noticed in Zone 1, on the ornamental landscape zone, it says it cannot exceed 15,000 adjacent to the natural areas. And then it says, and no more than half of these 20,000 square feet for hardscape. And I'm thinking half of 15,000 or half of 20,000, or does the 20,000 refer back to
I'm going to have to use a
something else?
lifeline on that.
Oh, what?
I'm going to have to use a lifeline.
Oh, okay. It's a minor point, but it does, it's either unclear or inconsistent.
This is Tim. He's part of our engineering team. He's going to answer. I'm
It's on
hoping he's going to answer your question.
Page two,
You know, Gene,
page 7, number 2.
I reviewed the design guidelines today
Yes.
because they're very lengthy and there's a lot of detail in there. That was one thing that I had seen today, and I admit it's a little bit unclear. And the intention was for it to be half because it could be a scalable developmental area. So we don't want to say that it's half of 20,000. If it ends up being smaller, then it would be out of balance. So it is unclear, but it is intended to be half of that development area.
Okay, so are you going to clarify it for the next person, or?
We could certainly
Figure out
clarify
how
the
to do
design
that.
guidelines if that would be helpful, yes.
On page 8, number 3, night lighting, it says it's outside of the lot. It's not permitted if it shines out. And then there's another place, and I don't remember where it is exactly, that talks about night lighting for, I think, like sports courts and things, has to be approved by the HOA or Design Review Committee. But anyway, I just wanted to point out that it might also need to be approved by the town, because we've had night sports courts that we have had come to us, and actually one we disapproved. So I know that it has been handled. So that might be something that, to be aware of, that there may be a town, a town regulation on that too, that somebody would have to run through that, as well as the HOA perhaps. I notice you have a write-up on walls and fencing, and your things are pretty clear, but they might also want to double-check with the town regulations on walls and fences, and just make sure they're in compliance with the town regulations on that section of things. You have on entry markers, that's on page 21, entry markers, I thought the address numbers have to be in conformity with your regulations, but you might want to add and that it's also according to the fire department recommendations, because they do have recommendations, I think, on placement as well as the size of the numbers and things like that. But so that people are aware, do what the fire department wants as well as what the HOA or design might be looking for. In your landscape list of plants, the last part is on invasives, but it doesn't actually say not to plant them, which I assume was the intent. So you might want to add something to that indicates don't plant these. These are not here listed because they're okay to be invasive. Let's see, streetlights. I appreciate some of the things that I really do appreciate about this project, that you've been sensitive to the environment, to the topography, trees, lighting. You haven't done a lot of street lighting to light up the rural area, which we don't want. And I like that you've offering quite a variety of architectural styles. I think that's a lot of flexibility. So those are some of the things I really like about the project. With street lighting, right now you have recommendation or requirement to have them at the ends of the cul-de-sacs and at the entrances from Del Mar, the two entrances, and apparently that's part of our regulation now. In the past, we have not required that at St. Francis, at Montclair, at Poppy Ridge, or even Montserrat. So we haven't required that. And given the rural nature of where it is, and that it's not, neither one of those are to a through street, they're fairly short cul-de-sacs, and the limited number of residences that are there, especially on the one side. One thing that came up that Linda and I were wondering if Richard can work out anything that instead of a street light, and whatever street light you put in, I hope you'll put the lowest ones that you're allowed to put in, because we don't really want to light up the rural areas any more than we have to. We'd wondered if Richard would be able to find any way that, given that you're going to have, I presume, lighting, monument, signs at the entrances to the subdivision, probably something really nice.
Look at Richard.
We're wondering, given the way this subdivision is going to be used, it's not like a whole lot of people are trying to find it all the time. If something like, if there could be adequate landscape type lighting that's, visible enough, not just a little few things on the ground, but something that would provide for the purpose of lighting at that entrance so that people can find it, can see it okay, but not necessarily have to have a pole that is lighting up more of the rural area. And that's something you probably can't answer tonight, but
Is that a condition of approval?
There's a condition of approval regarding the placement of the street light at the end of Court B, to place it instead of at the end of the court towards the pedestrian pathway going up to the school.
But not the size of it?
No.
Okay,
Condition 33.
let's see.
Yeah, there's something mentioned about it has to conform to.
Could I respond? So within that manual, we have specifications and design standards for lights. It tells us the lumens, the requirements, but again, it's from 2009 and we haven't updated it, so.
So
So we're bound to that requirement.
I'm bound to it.
Well, is that in the,
Amend it?
well, no, is that a general plan amendment?
No, it's
That's a
in our,
design- is
it's
it
in our
design?
manual, our construction and land development manual.
the circulation, is it?
Has it been implemented in the past in a consistent fashion? And the reason I bring that up is because I had heard from neighbors that did not desire lighting in the middle of the field. And originally, it's not something that we had proposed. When I was approached by planning and Richard, and they said, hey, it's part of it, I said, fine, we'll put it in. But the reality is, I think we're very flexible on the way we can implement it, and it could be implemented with something maybe a lot lower. I don't know if we could find a compromise that we reached a proper lumen, but it's something that's lower and creates a similar effect. So from a development standpoint, we're extremely flexible there. The reality is, what's going to be accepted by the community and what provides life safety that's required by the design.
Is this
manual.
the same manual, by the way, that requires the sidewalks?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Well, we have a different opinion on the sidewalk, by the way. That's
The
different.
intent of the question is, if we haven't enforced it in other areas, can that be assumed? We don't have to enforce the light one either. It's kind of confusing for
We
me.
didn't really want street lighting in Montserrat even, except it was required because they have roundabouts. And so we had to have a street light at every roundabout, but you don't have any roundabouts.
The problem,
These are our adopted standards, and some of them are implemented for life safety reasons.
Yeah.
So there is a rhyme and reason for having these standards in place.
yeah,
Can I just chime in?
Yep.
Was it a should or a shall? Is it desired or is it required? I guess I just wasn't clear on that either. Like,
Shall, it says shall.
it says shall?
That
Okay.
says at a minimum, the owner applicant shall install a standard post-stop street light at all intersections and at the ends of cul-de-sacs exceeding 130 feet.
That's the standard.
Well, that's what's
That's the
in
condition.
in the condition.
So what's our standard?
Yeah.
Say,
What
you
is-
should
what is
try
the
and do
rules?
this lighting when and where applicable, because it just, new guy, but it seems like it may be in conflict with like the general plan and the spirit of the character of the town where you guys are going to preserve dark skies, to preserve the rural nature. So you can possibly lean on the general plan to maybe find some wiggle room there.
That's where I'm coming from.
well,
It's like,
I almost feel like
If
the
it doesn't have
exemption
to be.
should be given here rather than deferring to staff, because staff comes and goes, and then this project may be sold to a different applicant. That's always within the applicant's right, or sorry, a different property owner rather. And so, to kick this down and then, there might be somebody a different person behind the desk who is requiring the implementation of the standard. I almost think that, this should be addressed here rather than kicking it down the road.
Do we have any authority to do anything?
Well, to answer Christian's question, does the rule book say shall or should?
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, okay.
Sounds like exercise, discretion has been exercised previously.
if it's the same one that enforced the sidewalk rule, then obviously, yes. There's a spirit of what the general plan is, and then there isn't, so that's why I'm confused too.
And
So
does
clarity
anybody,
be appreciated.
Well, we can't override the requirement, can we? Or can we? I mean, here we go.
We would need to have a strong engineering backing for why we would change from our adopted standards. So we'd have to look at the roadway segment there along Del Mar and see whether or not it's reasonable to not have the lighting along the street there and at the end of the cul-de-sacs. My other answer was going to be to the earlier question of whether or not you can remove that requirement here. You could recommend approval of the project, then recommend removing that condition of approval.
So it's
Or
something,
that condition, yeah. That's something you could make part of your recommendation is to remove condition 33 or to have it be modified in some way.
Well, I feel like we should
at least modify.
include this in the discussion with the sidewalks, because that's coming up next.
Yes,
And
yes.
so, Mike, what is your take on the sidewalks?
Well, my take on the sidewalk is, we started this, in the general plan, somewhere in there, there's supposed to be a trail on the side of Antelope Creek linking from Rockland to Sierra College. And obviously, it only works if somebody owns all the properties. So we sat down with the staff and we said, okay, how do we make a trail that will benefit the town and will meet the intent of the general plan? So we could present it to you that it's a trail that's going to serve a purpose. And that trail ended up being a heck of a lot longer than it was supposed to be. But that having been said, that's okay because it's going to link to the school area. People might be able to walk to school one day. And I looked at it and I said, hey, look, we're not doing sidewalks. We're going to have a trail. It's going to get a great path. I mean, I'd take a trail off the street any day versus trying to be on a 3-foot paved shoulder on the side of a road. So we were going along, and until I got the conditions of approval, nobody had ever mentioned sidewalk. We went through 6 iterations of engineering for designing the road. We did all the cross sections, and sidewalk was never brought up until last Friday when we got the conditions of approval. Actually, it's not true. It was brought up a week before that. We had a conversation. I thought it was dead, and then it came back in the conditions of approval. I think there's a rural character. You go to all those other places, they don't have sidewalk. And the reality is we have this beautiful trail, 8 feet wide, paved, that's going all the way from Del Mar to Sierra College. I mean, that's the mother of all sidewalk. And I agreed to pay for that, not knowing that I'd have to end up putting sidewalks on top of that. So that's my story.
I
I'm
think a lot
sorry.
of this just comes down to aesthetics and nature of the area. You
Yes.
know, I mean,
The feeling they want in that.
yeah, I mean,
in that
it's,
area, yeah.
where is streets on
Yeah.
the conditions of approval?
I was gonna say something on streetlights, but, streets themselves.
Okay, yeah.
On the conditions of approval? In what sense?
I mean, 23 that we saw,
Is that,
that talked about sidewalks.
23 is just on the trails, and any pedestrian paths need to be ADA compliant.
okay, so that does allow some flexibility for the project in that regard.
Yes, we don't have a condition in here for a sidewalk right
Okay.
now. That would be something you would add if you're interested in
All
that.
right. So back to streetlights.
So it doesn't have a
It
condition
doesn't
for
have a condition
sidewalks.
for
No.
sidewalks.
23 is
But
rather.
the trail,
All
it makes the trail.
And I don't have a problem with the
It
trail.
needs to be ADA, which it is. So,
Yes.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
But apparently that's a non-issue since it's not a condition.
Okay.
So let's get back to the lights.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so streetlights are discussed in our construction standards, section 9. And section 9-2 says streetlights required. Streetlights shall be required for all lots and parcels being developed or constructed upon. In addition, streetlights may be required for lots and parcels containing existing structures which are being improved or altered depending on the nature and extent of the work. Later on, it does say that the town may approve special or unusual designs if the character of the surrounding neighborhood warrants unusual design.
There's the
But
flexibility right there.
the developer needs to provide additional design and showing where you're going to place them and various other details. So it needs to do its job of providing a safety point. So it would be at the discretion of the town if that alternative design or unusual design is appropriate.
it sounds like
It's flexible.
well, it sounds like this might meet the condition to be considered.
That's the way I heard it.
I agree.
You wanna
But
read
it
that
does-
phrase again?
It does require further action of the applicant. And
Yes.
so maybe that's something that we can kick to council, because there's a couple other things that the council's gonna have to consider on this. You're not gonna be able to put the design proposal together right now, if you wanna get a vote on this. So,
He could tell
Well,
us how to
but we
word
could,
it.
we could put something in that
Minimal.
that an alternative can be considered, and would require some, whoever's going to approve, Christie or the council, but they, that's not much time for them to even get something together.
But why
for the
don't you
council.
kick the can down and say that you leave the condition there, assuming you want to support the project, you send it and you basically say, just like some of the other conditions, like the guardrail or some of the other things that the town engineer has the ability to approve, add to the street light where you say, street lighting shall occur, but alternative design is preferred if compliant as approved by the town engineer or something. So that way we don't force ourselves to today make a decision on the light that's going to happen in 3 years from now. But what we do is we let time and we let something really good come about that the town engineer can approve as an alternative that's better than a light pole.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so it sounds like our manual actually provides for that sort of flexibility. So again, my recommendation would be to make that an amendment to the recommended action of the conditions, is to basically rework 33, have it be either or, either the very strict language that's in condition 33 right now, or an alternative design as approved by the town engineer.
can you draft something for us?
I can work on that, yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me, wouldn't it be better if the planning group, since they seem to want to avoid the current design, said that it's favored to use the alternative?
He said preferred.
Oh, did you say preferred?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'll work on some language.
he's working on it. Okay, let's keep going with questions, comments.
I'm finished.
Are you done?
Yep.
Okay. Linda, anything?
Okay. First of all, I am so amazed that so much of this is in our general plan. And there's not a lot to say, well, you didn't follow the general plan, or you want an amendment for that. This is the cleanest subdivision I've ever seen come before me, and I'm on my 12th year here. I know Gene's probably seen some that are, this clean. I really appreciated the time Tim took to arrange to speak with you two, and that at that meeting it answered all the questions I had at that time. And so I'm very excited to support this. I think this is exactly what the town needs in that area, and I think that it'll still have the rural look that our town wants. It's planned to be a beautiful new development, and it's exciting to see something like this come into our town. I appreciate all the work you've put into this. It's been a long road for you, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Peggy, anything?
Yeah, I'm also impressed by the thought that's been put into the project. I think you really put some time in up front to make sure that it's consistent with the town of Loomis, and I'm really happy there's not like cookie cutter houses in there. I think that would, I think that kills any subdivision. So I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me to answer some questions. This is ticky-tacky, but just, you've got on 22 on page 52 that restricts parking to the street, and it doesn't say if that's guests and residents, or I assume at some point guests would be able to come over and park on the street, but just wanted to, throw that out there. I don't think your CCNRs are done yet, and that's probably not critical to development, yeah, but that seemed weird. The questions I have, I'm actually surprised that there's not a difference between streetlight and sidewalk requirements for town center versus the more rural areas. That actually doesn't make any sense to me.
No, we don't.
We used to have different road standards, so I didn't realize they were wiped out.
Yeah, that doesn't,
And these are from like 2009. They haven't changed in quite some time.
but it appears that we've made,
Yeah, and they're due for an update.
yeah. Having lived in rural areas a lot of my life, light is an issue, and I don't know what the alternatives can be, but I certainly am concerned about the as it's proposed, because I think that would add a lot of light in that area, and one of the reasons you're buying in that area is you don't want to be lit up like a city. So I would encourage options that would reduce the impact of light in that area. I'm curious on what grounds exceptions have been made, but maybe we don't know that today, so. And then I'm also interested in the shall or the should, but you read a lot of it, and it looks like it's more of a should than a shall.
It's a shall with an exception depending on the design.
Yeah, okay. All right. I don't need to go into that one. On page 58, and I didn't write down the number, but I got lost in the weeds on the raw water, and I know there's nothing that can raise the ire of neighbors other than parking than water rights. And it looked to me like one person had to pay for it and then share it with the rest, like that, the mechanism for that to happen. Is the raw water going to be used for irrigation on the vineyard?
Okay, you're talking about the ag water?
Yeah,
Yeah, the ag water comes with the parcel. With it, we
just
also-
one.
Well,
Oh, but
it's the parcel on the west side.
okay.
The, was it 37 acres on the west side?
Yeah.
Anyway, the 37 acres, Christie,
Yeah.
is it 37?
I believe, yes, 37.
Okay, the 37 acres on the west side comes with two types of water right. It comes with the water right basically from the canal. And it also comes with, believe it or not, good old state of California riparian right out of Antelope Creek.
Wow.
They've never been used, but we religiously pay our fees every year not to lose them, and we've kept them. So that gives us the necessary water to feed all that acreage of vineyard. So basically, the day that we create the HOA, we're going to assign to the HOA those water rights.
Okay.
As
I
we-
thought you were saying one of the property owners, and I was
Well,
thinking,
technically, yes. Me, one of the property owners will give it to the HOA.
okay.
But it's not, it's assigned right now to a parcel which, when we're allowed to create multiple parcels, will become part of the HOA.
Will individual property owners be using that water, or that's just
No.
for irrigation,
It is currently set up, what the HOA wants to do in the future.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'll lose control of the HOA.
Yeah,
As there's enough people living there. But the idea is they'll have that water. If they're not using it, I suppose they could offer it to some of their residents.
Okay.
But the idea is it's designed to support that vineyard area that bounds all the properties.
and there is a mechanism for managing that, making sure the fees get paid and all that good stuff.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, that's the HOA.
Okay, all right. The 5 new requirements that came in from Placer Flood,
They're engineer technical jargon.
okay,
They're mainly related to cleaning up a few questions they had on the drainage report, a couple of the tables, and then the mapping, making the contrast between the contour lines and the floodplain.
it didn't look like any deal breakers to me, I guess is what I was asking.
No, we do not have any issue with it. It's
Okay.
reprinting the map one more time.
Okay.
It's changing some tables.
That's what it looked like to me, I just
Yeah,
wanted to make sure I didn't miss something.
we have absolutely no issues with that. The only one that I've brought up that we have an issue is that 50-foot setback in the back. We would like to have it at 30 feet.
Right, okay. That's all I had.
All right, thank you, Peggy. Okay, a few comments. First of all, I know a lot goes into this, so great job from staff. I mean, this is quite a file. It's been a while since the town's reviewed a project of this scope. It's been a long time. So thanks for putting all that together. I'm glad to see the ADUs actually getting built. And this does credit our affordable housing
Yes.
requirements. You know, normally a project like this, we just require an in lieu fee. And the in lieu fee would sit in a bank and it would sit, wait for a project to accommodate the build. But this actually does add units, which we desperately need. I appreciate the desire to maintain the semi-rural landscape, the topography there, the tree canopy. I think all of that is really what the people of the town of Loomis are looking for. We're trying to preserve as much of our semi-rural nature as we can, so I appreciate all of that. I don't have any further questions or comments. At this point, we're going to open it up for public comment. People in the audience may come forward and make comment if they would like. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Mike Winiaski. I live at 3909 Del Mar. I just wanted to express some support for the project. I'm sure a lot of people might say stuff about, oh, people coming in, traffic. I'm like, 24 lots is not going to do much at all. I think it's, you know, very commensurate with the area. The larger lot sizes really fits in compared to, you know, really anything else that you put in. I think it'd be great. I stand to gain 4 neighbors out of this. It seems like a lot of contention tonight was kind of around the sidewalks and the lighting. I just wanted to say I think a lower lighting would be great. Kind of really helps fit the area. And sidewalks would almost seem like an eyesore in the area. If you've ever been along Del Mar, it's road and then grass and nothing. And even a walking path would be great. I currently walk with my kid up and down the road, and if I could just go, you know, next door and go on a nice walking path around, I think that would be amazing. I think sidewalks would almost be kind of out of character for the area. And I don't really know that they would get used that often either, especially if there's a great walking path there. I guess I really only have one question for Mike that came up when he mentioned the water at Antelope Creek is where, you know, if you were to pull water, where would you pull from and by what mechanism?
We have, you know where the pet hotel is?
Yeah.
Through the pet hotel, my predecessor, 3 generations ago, owned that. And when he sold him that, he kept himself a 25-foot easement that leads all the way right by their bridge.
Okay. So it'd be like right by the road there on the west side.
Yeah, and basically, you know, we have the ability, and they know it, it's a path that we can use. We don't think we need it, and we would make actually an effort to talk to the water people to see if they'd let us pick it up where we are on the other side, where we have actually access to the creek on the property on the east side. But that's where we would pick it up.
Okay, right by the road there. Would there be like any damming or anything involved that would, it would just be
All
a
it
little
is
suction tube and a pump or
is a pipe
something?
with a little screen and an orifice, and you basically just suck the water out.
That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Polis. I'm a local real estate broker, and I'm really excited about this project. There is so much demand, and Loomis is such a fantastic place to live that people are calling all the time trying to find new sources of housing. And this type of subdivision just doesn't exist here in any kind of number. So it's going to be well received, and I applaud you guys for listening and working with Mike and helping him to develop a project that really does meet the vision of the community. And I think it's just going to be fantastic. I think that the location is fantastic too, in conjunction with the school that's being built, and then the walking trail that's going to be provided, which functions as a sidewalk, but also potentially a bike trail or other ways to meander through the community and get to other public services. So I think you guys have all just done a fantastic job, and I think the applicant's done a great job too, so thank you.
Alina Miller, Bankhead Road. I'd like to say I think this is a great project, and I would also like to add that I'm kind of hoping that you'll make a special consideration as far as the lighting and the sidewalks. There are no curb and gutter going north on Del Mar. There is none on Bankhead all the way to King Road. It seems completely out of place. And as far as the lighting, we have the lighting from Costco and all the intersections that has now kind of lit up that area. We have lighting from the industrial park, and to add lighting and light poles into that project is going to continue to light up everything all the way through. So there's also a lot of wildlife in the area that adding a lot of lighting, they're not going to have any place to bed down and hide, so I hope that you'll reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina.
Al Frangione, Senior Director of Facilities, Maintenance and Operations for Loomis Union School District. I'm the guy designing the school. So I just wanted to, as a school district, we stay out of the business as best we can of whether or not we support or don't support developments. Having said that, I can tell you two things that we've observed. The first one is, and I think, Linda, you hit the nail on the head. This is one of those projects that actually works. I'm a planner, I'm a builder, I'm a designer. This is one of those projects that I would strongly encourage the town of Loomis to seriously move forward with. I think staff has done an incredible job. I'm a big fan of Richard, big fan of Christy. We do a lot of collaboration together. And I think by the time you look at that, you look at the actual design of the project, and most importantly, a lot of the interaction I've had with Mike and his team as we've helped SP Mud, the water agency, everybody bring these infrastructure items north towards Sierra College Boulevard, and all the work we're putting into the school to make it a unique school that is not overlit. I'm fighting the state of California tooth and nail right now to get them to help us do what we know we need to do to maintain the integrity of Loomis and the entire basin. And so this project just works harmoniously with that area and with our project. And I would say, as developments go, doesn't get much better than this. So strongly encourage this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone online? Okay, we're going to close public comment and bring it back to the commission. So it sounds like there is a consensus.
Do we need to decide on the 30-foot versus the 50-foot setback?
Where is that?
That's in their design guidelines language, so it's in their document. It's not a condition because it was in their document. So what they're proposing is to modify their design review or design packet, just to change that text.
Okay.
To clarify that.
Is that for the building envelope or some other part?
Oh.
It's for the rear setback of the property. So the text right now reads a 50-foot rear setback, which is well beyond our requirement, which is 25. They're proposing a 30-foot. So what they would like to do is just to revise that text in that document.
So it's not really
We don't have to
our
do anything.
request,
No.
it's
We don't have to
their-
put
their
motion to
decision.
do, okay.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna
I have no,
Just to be clear, the 30 is still in excess of our requirement.
Correct.
Right. So there's nothing we need to do.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, no problem with that. Nope. Nothing.
Here we go.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the issue for me is that I believe you'll be kind of approving the design guidelines if you do wish so. And we want to make sure if you approve them with the 30, not with the 50.
Well, who makes that amendment? Do you make that amendment or does the town?
We can,
I think it would just be something in our in our resolution statement to say that we would include that change as well as the additional conditions of approval that we discussed.
And that's 25-07. So if whatever we motion tonight, we have to include the 50-foot to 30-foot and modification of condition 33.
Yes.
Are you good with that?
Okay.
Yeah, and I've got some
Can
alternate
you-
language for condition 33.
Okay. Well, let's hear it.
Can you make me a presenter on Zoom and then I can just put it up on the screen?
My magnifying glass doesn't
Okay.
hold that.
Can I use your glass? Really.
Nate, you want to do?
Can you slide the?
Oh.
Screen.
There you go.
There we go.
That's better.
Okay, I'm good with that. Anyone else?
I can't read it. Can you read it?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Okay.
Yeah, that's a-
So, alternative language for condition 33, the owner applicant shall prepare an exterior lighting plan, including streetlights. Prior to building permit issuance, the lighting plan shall be reviewed and approved by the planning department and town engineer for compliance with the town's municipal code and construction standards.
That doesn't say anything about minimizing the impact of light, which I thought we wanted to put the,
We don't want streetlights.
Can we say to minimize the impact
Oh.
of light in a rural area or
Prepare
something
an
like
exterior
that?
lighting
Conform with
plan.
the
No,
spirit.
okay, so here's where it gets there. So, it's shall prepare an exterior lighting plan, including streetlights.
I don't want including streetlights on there. That's too specific for me.
Can we take
Well,
out
there will be a
streetlights
streetlight. We're not
But-
proposing
but
no
the point-
streetlights.
No,
He
but-
needs to just propose a lighting plan.
and-
And
Yeah,
then they discuss it and decide what's best.
So if we just call it a lighting plan, the concern is that's going to be interpreted as just referring to like exterior lights on the houses.
Not for me.
Well, technically.
You sitting here today understand that
Oh, I
I'm
see.
reading it as somebody who's gonna forget about this for 5 years, 3 years, then look at it and then wonder, what are we
the
doing
lighting
by
plan
lighting?
should be reviewed.
is the
Maybe
lighting,
I still don't think you need to say including streetlights.
what if you say, which may or may not include streetlights? So that it's clear that's to be included, but not that it has to
May or
be.
may not would add an additional ambiguity.
Which we want.
is the lighting plan for safety?
Our lighting standards are for safety.
Life.
That's
Then
for
maybe we
street
can,
safety.
maybe we can compromise there.
Well, the phrase did give some flexibility, it sounded to me like, what Christie read to us.
Offer a lighting plan that's conducive to offering proper safety in light of whatever. Something along those lines.
That's what our construction standards call for. Basically,
Right.
we say, here's our standards, but the town engineer can take into consideration the area that this lighting is going to be installed in, while still analyzing that against the safety considerations that are the ultimate purpose of the lighting.
There you go. And it takes out what you were talking about, streetlights. Because if it's for safety, then it can be, lighting has to be there. It's going to support safety, understanding, plan, options, but we're taking out streetlights.
So again, if we take the word streetlight out of this, the argument is going to be down the road, you don't get to tell me what to do about street lighting and safety. This is just talking about what's attached to the building.
All right, I'm going to ask the applicant to come up and provide input also.
What if we just said streetlights or alternative as provided for in whatever that section is and left it at that?
How about lighting along the right of way?
There you go.
As an applicant, I see this, and I can see myself in 2 years from now talking to Richard's successor,
Yeah.
and I'm arguing that why am I not putting a light every 150 feet
Yeah.
throughout the entire length of the road? Because now I'm having to prepare an exterior lighting plan, and somehow standards have evolved, And that's why we want to freeze this with today's requirement. I mean, right now, we're talking about 4 lights. I thought our desire was to have an alternative to those 4 lights. So basically, those 4 lights are the base, which is the current condition of approval. And my understanding is we wanted to explore, I think you brought up that there's an alternative, that the code allows for an alternative to be approved by the town engineer. I don't think you want a street light every 150 feet
No.
throughout the entire. I don't want it because I don't want to pay for it. But on the other end, it's going to be terrible.
We understand the context, and we want this to be inherited by, Richard knows about it. I agree. Richard knows about it, but we want to make sure that his successor, if there is one, is also on the same page here.
We're
And
not
so,
kicking you out, Richard.
and so
He just got
maybe we need to be more specific here.
To an alternative to the current condition, or the current condition, or applicant may present an alternative to this condition that must be approved by the town engineer according to the code or whatever. I thought the code says that we can explore an alternative.
It does.
So the language that we have here right now would allow for a plan to be submitted. That's exactly what current condition 33 is.
Yeah, because it does reference the municipal code.
Yeah, so you could propose a lighting plan. That's exactly what's already in condition 33. That's one of the options that's possible under this language.
Would
The
it,
other alternative would be for a different proposal that strips away some of these lights, which sounds like is the desire of some in the community. And the town engineer and planning could then review that against our code and see whether it still meets all of our standards as they are laid out in our construction manual.
with the way it's written now, are you suggesting we go with the way it's written now?
I think that provides the flexibility that it sounded like earlier you were looking to have.
Okay, so if it's worded that way and there's an alternative that's presented that does not include standard streetlights, would that just be automatically off the table because it doesn't meet the requirements of that language?
No, because as Christy read to us earlier, there's a lot of flexibility built into our construction standards for the town engineer to look at alternate proposals depending on where in the community the plan is proposed.
So can it say streetlight or alternate proposed?
Or alternative as
We're
permitted
quibbling
by-
over the word, the
Mike, do
streetlights.
you have a recommendation
Yeah,
on how
well,
it should
here's
word?
my big concern.
Yeah.
When we got started with
We
this-
understand the concern, but what is
there's a fact you guys don't know. We have less light now than we started with when we got the conditions. Because we were gonna have to put one at the trail, one at the court, and we managed to combine those two because we were on a mission to try to reduce how many lights we had.
Okay.
So if we follow, we go backwards, now we're back, we already have an extra light as the base. So that's my concern that, we're down to 4 lights, and I want to make sure it doesn't grow to 5, 6, 7. I mean, and at that number, that's not the cost for me. I think people just don't want it.
Right.
So how would you propose modifying that language?
I would stick with the current condition of approval, but I would add that the applicant may propose an alternative according to the town code.
I think we're all saying the same thing. We're all wanting the same thing. We're trying to
Yeah, I
figure
know,
out how
but
to
what
how
worries
to
me
word it.
about this is it's wide open.
Well, I think there is, when the planning department approves it, that will freeze it. So that could happen.
For just this plan, for this development.
Exactly, that could
I see
happen
what
soon. So you have a hard stop there. And so to the point of like posterity misinterpreting that, you get it in the next 6 months, we're all on the same page. We freeze it there with an approval, written approval, that specifies, what
Well, then
you've
we'd want to put
proposed.
site improvement instead of building permit. We'd want to put, don't you
You
call
have
it
building,
site
prior to
improvement?
building permit issuance, right?
Yeah, you don't want a building permit, that's when the houses are
It's
gonna
too
be
late.
built. You
Way
wanna
later.
use the
Site-
site
the
improvement.
site
We
improvement.
could have a
Use site
letter,
improvement.
Oh, you got
Yeah.
it
or
before.
like a side, there could possibly be a side, letter of approval, I
Well,
would think.
that's why I was wondering if it wouldn't be good to put the intent in there, because that would solve your problem, and that would make the reason that we're having this discussion painfully clear in writing. So,
I put up another proposal that provides the alternate options, that either the existing proposal of 4 lights or this flexible approach.
All right, take a look at that
To say
and
to
see if that makes
minimize
sense.
the lights, you know.
Yeah.
To minimize light pollution. Do they call it light pollution? I don't know.
yeah.
Change to building permit issuance to site improvement site,
Yep,
what do you call it?
that makes sense. Site improvement plan,
The site
permit.
improvement,
Approval.
and I'm good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
If he's.
Yeah, we don't want to, we
have
don't
an
want to
or.
issue it, we don't want
We
that
have the
requirement to be
ability
a
to make
building
an
permit.
effort to make it better.
Okay, so
Yeah.
which permit?
It's a site improvement plan, approved site improvement plan. We don't have a separate language or label for that permit, so.
Still doesn't have the intent, but.
Like that?
All right, you want me to read it again?
Sure.
Okay.
Will help the public too.
The owner applicant shall, 1, install a standard post top street light at all intersections and at the end of cul-de-sacs exceeding 130 feet, or 2, shall prepare an exterior lighting plan including street lights. Such plan shall be reviewed and approved by the planning department and town engineer in compliance with the town's municipal code and construction standards prior to site improvement plan approval. Well, I mean, the street lights are what we're talking about.
That-
So,
It would just be an alternative streetlight.
The alternative shall include streetlights is what that's saying.
In other words, it has to have streetlights.
I mean,
addressing, maybe,
address street lighting. How about street lighting instead of street lights?
How about we go back to what I had said earlier, including lighting along rights of way?
Yeah.
But isn't the right of way the whole way?
That's the whole street.
including street lights.
Yeah, but I mean,
Well, yeah, but it's.
the same thing.
It's 2,000 feet long, now it could be, well, as long as it's in a or. But
So we could say at cul-de-sacs and road intersections. That's only 4 places. Well, you've got the
Well,
one
I'm
at the
okay with
trail.
How about if it be no more restrictive than the current? Because you're saying you just don't want to go backwards. So if it's no more restrictive than the current requirements, but it has the potential to be improved, you're okay with that?
yes, for me, ultimately, we went from 5 lights down to 4.
Right.
That was a step forward. And what I wish is that we have something like what was there that gives us an ability, we'll propose you some alternative. We'll propose alternatives. They know we're creative. We'll come up with something. But I don't want it to become something that we go backwards.
Can you take out including and say may include streetlights?
I mean, we want to address
We
that
want street
issue.
lights.
I know, but I
What
mean,
we're
it's like,
trying to
that
do
could
is
be,
reduce the amount of streetlights.
I agree, but
We want street
it makes it less
lighting.
restrictive.
Lighting.
Street lighting is different than saying street lights.
Because they're not going to be street lights.
No.
We're going to have some kind of a
That's fine.
statute
That works.
Exterior lighting, yeah.
We need something that makes it crystal clear we're talking about.
Street
lights
lighting,
that
okay, where do you
illuminate
see,
street rather
it's,
than just lighting attached to the outside of structure.
street lighting, yep, so that's
Street
in the
lighting.
first, that's in the first sentence.
So street lighting?
Yep,
Yeah.
street lighting.
That makes sense.
And then is it assumed that the new plan can be no more restrictive than the current requirement 33? Or do we need to put that in the language?
It makes no assumptions about that because it gives the applicant the option of either going with what's already been outlined or an alternative plan that may or may not be approved by the town.
Right.
Okay. I think we've covered this.
I was just trying to address his concern of going backwards.
Well, we have the or, so I'm good. We're going to make the effort. We're going to
Okay.
try really hard.
Okay.
And
Okay, that's item 33, right?
That's right.
Okay. All right. Any more questions, comments? commissioners?
I heard community comment that there's a concern about having any curb and sidewalk, and we've got them at the entrances at this point. Is there any discussion that needs to be had around that? I don't know which condition that is.
Well, it's not in
Part
there.
of the plan,
It's
it's part of their
part of the plan.
proposal.
It's not in the conditions, though.
So we don't need
What
to
is the
worry.
reason? Okay, it's written, we have to do it because it's the written word, but I'm thinking logistically and aesthetically, purposely, I mean, what is the purpose? What's the purpose of doing curb and gutter there?
In the front?
Yeah.
For water mitigation, right at the entrance.
I mean, again, that's part of our standards as well, is to have curb and gutter.
Walkability.
Yeah, walkability. Private streets are supposed to follow our standards for public streets.
And it connects to public streets.
And you're
Yeah,
connecting
you're connecting to a public street. That
to
makes
a
sense,
public
yeah.
street.
Yeah.
That does or does not currently have a sidewalk.
It does not.
But it's undeveloped, that's why it doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's.
But what we were,
I mean, on the two sides, not on the property, but
On
to
the-
either side of that, of Del Mar.
Mhm.
Are there sidewalks there?
No, at the moment.
but, so what we're trying to do with all future developments is have everything connect, so that, so while the interior may not have streets, the exterior will all connect, right? So it's a walkable town, right? And that's the goal. And so as projects are developed and brought in, it's a fully walkable town, right? And if we don't have that, then it's hodgepodgey and it.
That's the way Loomis.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, it is. There's a lot of properties that should have street frontage walking so that people can walk. We want a
They just
walkable.
walk on the street, that's what they do on Del Mar. The resident right there said he takes his kids right there and that's where you walk. I live on a street where there's no sidewalks, we walk on the street and it'll look nice, manicured, but it's just gonna dead into nothing. You know what I mean?
Well, it will connect with the next property.
The next
that's-
property,
that's-
he probably
that's
owns that
developed.
property.
Are the properties to either side vacant? Is that what we're saying? Is
Well, they're
somebody-
undeveloped currently, but I think of like Boynton, right? Boynton is like that. Parts of it is walkable, and then other parts aren't walkable. So you're almost there are actually no areas you can walk on parts of Boynton. There's just the bike lane, and the bike lane is this wide. And so what the idea is to make a walkable community so that people can move around.
Which for like Taylor Road isn't walkable, like there's sections that are.
I know, that's not great.
King, there's
For Taylor,
sections of
it's not-
King, I walk that,
not great.
and I'm going, okay, the cars are right here, and there's a few little walk past at King Road, doesn't have very walkable, and that's kids walking to school.
I know, that's a safety problem.
It
Which
is.
I understand it over there, but on Del Mar, where are you walking to? You gotta cross Taylor College, you gotta
Yeah.
cross Taylor Road, like.
It's rural, it's rural agriculture.
Yeah, I just see walkability as a different issue when you're in town center versus tangentially in the more rural parks. I see those as, that's why I said before, I'm kind of shocked that we don't have different rules for different parts of our town, because if we just cut them to all be the same, then everything ends up looking like downtown, and I don't think a lot of people would be arguing for that.
Are you proposing you want to take it out, or what's the impact? I guess I'm confused on the question.
Well, it's not one of the conditions
Right.
that's in the building plan, but I was just asking the question, is that something we need to discuss? Because we heard from residents that have a concern about that, and we hadn't addressed it yet.
I don't-
Relatively speaking, asking of the applicant, how important is that?
The sidewalk?
On Del
The-
Mar.
No,
Just
the
the-
entrance, the curb gutter thing at the entrances.
We're doing it because it's what it's normally done. It's a continuity. The sidewalk will make it on one side all the way to Robin, and on the other side, it's gonna make it to the bridge. And then one day, somebody might develop again, and then you're gonna get that continuity to keep going. Yeah, it's.
I'm not sure.
It's a condition we're used to, and, we salute smartly, we do it because that's what it's done everywhere.
So they're having the
But it's
sidewalk
I
the
would-
whole way?
I mean, you know, it's
On the
not-
frontage.
It's just the connecting Ts. That's it.
So it's not
It's-
going into the community?
No, it's just along their
It's just
property.
along
So
it,
at the
yeah.
end of their property line, then there's no more sidewalk.
Done.
It's either a requirement or it's not, but what would happen is one project would have the frontage and the other wouldn't, right? And so it's like, then you get some inconsistencies there. And so it's like, is that something that we want or don't want? I mean, and this is a larger conversation that the town, should be
Right.
having above and beyond this,
And
this
for
project.
the purposes of what we're considering here tonight, the town wants it because it's in our adopted standards.
Yeah. Mike,
So-
There's another big benefit in doing this.
excuse me.
There's another big benefit in doing this, and it's actually not good for me, but the reality is you're widening up the road. And while everybody doesn't want to widen up the road, Sierra College is a good example. Eventually, Sierra College is going to need to get widened up because you're going to be impacted with traffic. So the reality is what you're doing is you're transferring the burden when somebody does development to widen up the road a little bit. And, working with Richard, we're going to come up with a new cross-section for Del Mar, and half of Del Mar in that area will be a road that is designed for the future, that's going to be there generations to come. So when the day the town goes to rebuild the road, or the road that we're going to build, is going to barely need any maintenance because it's going to have 3 times more base and twice as much AC as the rest of Del Mar. Because he's going to make sure we do it right. So that's the other benefit that comes with that sidewalk, that, you're doing all that infrastructure.
That's great information, thank you.
So, anyway.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'd like to clarify, mostly sidewalks are within town right away, so we have the option to continue on regardless of development. So in terms of connectivity, we can propose other projects, right? Right now, we're trying to put a crosswalk on King for the safety of the school children, so it's something we can trigger ourselves.
All right. Further questions?
Okay,
Further
any other
concerns on this
questions,
side?
comments? We want to entertain a motion.
Nate, you're always good at
Yeah, am I?
You've got it in front of you.
Yeah, I need the verbiage though.
Yep.
Up, and then I also need the verbiage for, are we going to include the 50-foot setback, recommending to 30-foot setback? Want to include that too as well,
That's not
correct?
in the conditions.
It's not a
We don't-
So we don't need to say
we don't-
that?
So we don't
that-
All right, so just take that out.
That's not necessary.
Okay,
But we approve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right, so. Can you put up the verbiage or give me the verbiage?
We've got 2 resolutions. We've got the recommendation about CEQA and we've got the recommendation about the map. We did-
I have one on my, am I missing one?
You have 2. It's
Page
recommended,
8 of 72.
there's 2 in
I
there.
didn't get this is first one.
On the first page of the staff report,
Did I see recommendation and then it splits? I only see one.
You have 2
Oh, here it
resolutions.
is, it's on the
Oh, I don't have my stuff.
back of the staff, it's page 2 of the staff report.
That's not on that one.
Here,
Can you go down to
oh,
recommendation?
you're on the
Where's the
front end.
second
Yeah,
one?
I need the staff report.
oh,
Oh,
Okay.
this one?
Yeah.
One,
Oh, no, that's on the
here's
dates.
this other one.
No, there's, if you look in your agenda, under recommendations, it shows 2 resolutions.
Okay,
Page 2 of your agenda. And also page 1 of the staff report on this item.
he's got the updated, or, I don't know, whatever the one in front of me, so, okay, are we ready to make a motion? Comments, questions? All right, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2505, attachment 1, finding that the project has been properly analyzed under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, through preparation and circulation of an initial study mitigated negative declaration, SCH 2025070798, and recommending the town council adopt the ISMND and measures included in the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, MMRP, Exhibit 1.8, that reduce potential impacts to a less than significant level, and Resolution 2506, Attachment 2, recommending that Town Council approve the Camerini, if I can say it right tonight, subdivision vesting tentative map per the findings in Exhibit 2.A conditions of approval in Exhibit 2.B and as depicted in Exhibit 2.C.
With the amendment to condition 33.
With the amendment to condition 33.
I second that.
And the added conditions from Placer County Flood Control.
And the added conditions from Placer County Flood Control.
I second that.
All right.
Yeah, just make the change in the design plan and resend it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Sarah, please call the roll.
Commissioner DePillo,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Chairman Onderko.
Yes. Okay, adopted. Moving on.
And I noticed that the design guidelines, we are approving what they are now, but if you read at the beginning, after this, that can be changed by the subdivision and
By
then
the
when
HOA.
they, and then by the HOA, so it's not like in stone forever.
Okay, moving on. Item 4, consideration of rescheduling November and December Planning Commission meetings. Christie.
So our November and December Planning Commission meetings fall along the weeks where we have major holidays. So their Planning Commission meeting is normally scheduled for 2 days before Thanksgiving, and the December meeting would be 2 days before Christmas. So the question is posed to you, would you like to provide an alternative meeting date for each November and December? I'm recommending November 18th and December 16th. Should we not need to meet, we can cancel the meeting, but this gives us an opportunity to have a meeting if there's a project that is ready to be heard.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay. Motion second. Sarah, please call the roll.
Easy.
Commissioner Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner DePillo,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Chairman Onderko.
Aye. Adopted. Thank you. Town Planners Report. Christie.
So I'd like to start off my report by welcoming our new Community Development Director, Christian Spensk.
Welcome, Christian.
You might have met him at our last town council meeting, but if you have not, he's a welcome addition to our team. And he is bringing together our planning, building, code enforcement, and economic development departments all together. So welcome, big welcome to Christian.
Yeah, thank you.
Our Hidden Grove project, the applicant has appealed, so we are waiting for the courts to come up with their dates for that appeal. We have not started a municipal code update for the general plan consistency. We are looking at updates on the sign portion of our zoning ordinance. There's a sign committee with our town council looking at different changes to that. So we will be hearing from them in the future as they decide what they want to do with those changes.
Are they looking primarily or only at the electronic sign or the whole other parts of the sign ordinance that may be rubbing on?
Primarily the electronic, but we will look at the other portions to see if there's something that doesn't make sense. SB 9, we continue to have lot split applications continuously, so those are ongoing. The Quick Quack Car Wash project, that CEQA document is nearly ready, so we will be bringing that forward after that's been circulated for comment, and probably it would be in the new year. Based on the 30-day comment period, we won't make a December date. Creekstone Senior Living Community for 117-unit independent and assisted senior living is still processing their application and the CEQA documentation for that as well. Harvest Oak subdivision, we received an application for a 13-lot subdivision at Brace Road and Stone Road. The applicant was working on some design changes, and we haven't heard back from them on that. The Bankhead 2 subdivision is a 6-lot subdivision on the east side of Bankhead Road, north of Sierra College Boulevard, sort of across the way from Sundance Court. And they just provided some new reports for us that we're looking through right now. The Reserve subdivision is an application for a 20-lot, 1-acre lot subdivision at Rockland and Barton Roads. That's also where there is a proposed school site. Rainey is currently preparing a modified CEQA checklist, which analyzes the project in relation to site-specific impacts and deciding if there were any site-specific impacts not already addressed in the general plan EIR covered by those mitigation measures. So they have been in coordination with Loomis Union School District throughout the process, and we will be bringing that one forward fairly soon. Ivan's Recycling is a project that is fairly new. It's an application for a minor use permit and design review for a small recycling facility proposed within the Raleigh Shopping Center parking lot. So we're processing that submittal. That should be coming forward to you very soon as well.
What kind of recycling?
So it would be like CRV recycling, so bottles and cans that have a redemption. In front of Raleigh, so where the Tesla chargers are, just sort of across the way in an area where there's some landscaping. Miscellaneous odds and ends. We have our counter hours on Monday through Thursday. Office closed to the public on Fridays, so we can get our to-do lists done. The town website has helpful information. Please don't be a stranger to our website. It has information on permits, but also projects that are being under consideration. We have building inspections Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and the annual fall cleanup day will be held November 22nd from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Del Oro High School Stadium parking lot. And the service is available for residents within the town limits. There's a flyer posted on our social media with more details.
Okay. Thank you very much. Commissioners' reports, anybody? Nate, anything?
No, not at this time.
Okay, great. Thank you to everyone from the public for coming out. Appreciate your input. This meeting is adjourned.